Marjorie Taylor Greene is continuing her rebranding tour, and don't fall for it. It is utter and complete BS. She tries to act like she has this novel information. Oh, all the Republicans talk behind Trump's back, and then they go vote with him. Honey,
No shit.
we've known this shit forever. We've seen J.D. Vance texts where J.D. Vance, little failed drag queen, smoky eye sociopath, rightfully and deservedly called Trump America's Hitler. We know that Lil Marco Rubio, during the primary in 2016, tried to eviscerate Trump, both to his face and behind his back. This is not new information. The only thing that's new here is that you were deep, 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 deep inside the cult. January 6th, Jewish space lasers, and you're having a brief moment of clarity that I think is to play a game and exploit these poor MAGA voters that have been lied to and lied to and lied to. And you want to go round them up and get them on your side and run for president. Let's play the first clip.
Behind the scenes, do they talk differently?
Yes.
How?
Oh, it would shock people.
Well, let's shock people.
Okay.
It's not shocking.
I watched many of my colleagues go from making fun of him, making fun of how he talks, making fun of me constantly for supporting him, to when he won the primary in 2024, they all started, excuse my language, Leslie, kissing his ass and decided to put on a MAGA hat for the first time.
Republicans are self-serving. Like, newsflash. Here's the thing about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's not telling us anything we don't know. She's not calling out people specifically. She's just making these blanket statements. Everybody knows that. And for me, like, even through the course of this interview, her crazy comes out. She's trying really hard to be this populist person so she can win a general election. But at the end of the day, she's crazier than a shithouse rat. She always will be. And she's the one that was leading the charge. Remember after January 6th, she went in that cell with the orange person and she got on her knees and prayed. I mean, this woman is fucking nuts, but she is like every other Republican, self-serving. And I just want to remind people, she would carry around a poster of Donald Trump and then like put her hands over his package and say how much she liked him. I have seen that video. It is out there. She is as crazy as the rest of them. But now she's looked past Trump and she's getting better political advice than some of these other people. But bring the receipts, Marjorie. If you want me to believe you, be normal and sane across the board, not just in little snippets that serve you.
Okay, so within talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene and exposing what an opportunist she is, and honestly, a lot of Republican politics, which have now morphed into MAGA politics, is a political party based on exploitation and opportunism. And they have a real problem with nanny boo boo politics, and they always have. Instead of focusing on larger geopolitical issues, they tend to focus on the left, the American left. And this started long before Trump, and he came and fed it. You know, you had the Tea Party movement, which was, basically these people were outraged that Barack Obama was a black man that lived in the White House. So now they have a lot of their dreams becoming realized. And this is a leaked memo that reveals the FBI's fascist plans. And I want to get a shout out to journalist Ken Kleppenstein, who is constantly breaking these types of stories for us. Trump's FBI is building a list of individuals and groups who oppose and protest Trump, support immigrants and LGBTQ plus people, and criticize capitalism in order to label and investigate them as domestic terrorists. This is the fascism we were warning about. Kylie, leave this up for just a second. This is where it's unbelievable for me that Democrats allow this type of stuff to go on without combating it. You have to have a response that they want to label people that support immigrants, which is a very American thing to do. Republican presidents prior to Donald Trump supported immigrants. Obama was one of the biggest deporters of immigrants. Okay. So this is just utterly insane. The LGBTQ plus people, and this is where I have a real problem with the country club Republicans that have gay friends, have gay people that have businesses that provide services to them. And in more progressive hip circles, they like to roll that out. They like to brag about proximity to homosexuals. And I, for the longest time, before Trump, would always say, if you vote Republican, you are inherently supporting homophobia and LGBTQ plus bigotry. And a lot of Republican peers of mine would be dismissive and act like it wasn't that big of a deal. And look at where this culminated right now. So all of the people who participated in structural homophobia and thought, oh, it's okay. And they were able to morally divide up. I can be friends with this person, but I don't have to vote for them, vote for their rights. Now, Trump's fascist FBI, run by complete dipshit Kash Patel, who's more concerned about making sure his girlfriend's happy so he can continue to get laid by using our taxpayer money to have protections for her and fly her around in a private plane. He wants to have a list of American citizens exercising their First Amendment rights, and they want to investigate them as terrorists. So supporting LGBTQ plus people or supporting immigrants, or if you're critical of a horrible economic system which led to this, they're going to investigate you as a terrorist. Shame on every moderate Republican that has been dismissive about the homophobia, institutionalized homophobia that many of us have been calling out for years and years and years and years and years. I have been preaching this, and Pumps can attest to it, for years about the dangers of engaging in this, and it fed this moment.
Here's the thing. The only thing that I'm like, okay, well, this will never happen is you have the two most incompetent and corrupt people on the planet that would be in charge of this. But I think it's interesting. They chose to put people who protest or speak out against capitalism. So the oligarchy, I don't know. I mean, this is the same government that said
the oligarchy is not capitalism. We need to be crystal clear about that. Like
right.
That's not capitalism. That is an oligarchy.
Right. But I'm sorry. And I misspoke. But then you look at being throwing like a keying a Tesla there for a while was domestic terrorism because that was owned by Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is in the fold because we protect oligarchs. You cannot be pro-America, pro-Constitution, and put any of these restrictions on speech. You just cannot do it. The Constitution allows for every single thing that is in this for the enemies list. And the only good thing about it is these people are fucking dumber than a box of hot rocks.
Yeah, I know, but
it's scary.
I will not play assumption politics.
You're right.
One thing I've learned about MAGA, when they tell you something, believe them. When you read a story that they have these intentions, believe them. It sounded crazy that they would create a place called Alligator Alcatraz, or that they would send people without due process to CCOT. I believe them now. I believe this leaked document when I read it. I will no longer participate in any form of assumption politics or assuming that their incompetence will somehow protect our democracy, because that is the fool's errand of Democrats. This has to be rigorously responded to. And the strongly worded letters and the lackluster, impotent approach that the Democrats have, where you have part of the party that's like, we just got to win again and we have to be laser focused on affordability. Yes, you have to be laser focused on supportability, but at the same time, you cannot throw your fellow Americans under the bus, and you need to prioritize it. They have prioritized this bigotry. It is a priority, and it draws people out to the polls. And you have to prioritize equality. And that's where you link these human rights issues to the affordability message. Because when you have a message of affordability, it is for everybody. You can't say, oh, our affordability is for everybody except for these, 10 trans athletes. You can't do that. It's for everybody. And that's how you link the two messages together. But this schizophrenia or this knee-jerk reaction that the Democratic establishment has after an election, oh, Trump's anti-trans ad really harmed us, so we're going to knee-jerk it back and we're not going to talk about that anymore, is really dangerous. It's really dangerous to abandon marginalized groups, because this shit gets born. And the amount of people that I know that have members of the LGBTQ plus people in their lives that they would call a friend, that they would hug, that they would say they care about, might even buy them a holiday gift, and then go and vote time and time and time again for this anti-LGBTQ plus bigotry is just sickening to me. It absolutely sickens me. And it's something that I personally have been whistleblowing about for so long, because in places like Oklahoma City, this type of homophobia is not just governmental. It's in the churches. It's in private schools, Christian private schools. It is taught. It is applauded to be this homophobic. And it is a real cultural problem when the Democrats don't respond and they allow these cultural issues to get this deeply embedded into the American culture, and you don't fight on principle for human rights. The people who are fighting for the action wins, whoever's putting the most into it. And so we have to respond vigorously to all of these things. And I bring up this leaked FBI memo in the throes of Marjorie Taylor Greene to show you how unserious she is as a politician. She thinks she's serious because she's getting interviewed by Leslie Stahl. And if she were serious, she would be talking about this leaked memo. She would be talking about all of the anti-democratic moves that this administration is making, but she can't. She uses Israel's killing Christians in Palestine because she knows that will hit hard with the religious base. She doesn't say the Republicans are weaponizing homophobia and scaring you. And I want to stand, I was wrong. And I want to stand with all of the LGBTQ plus Americans, or I want to stand with Black and brown Americans. She doesn't. And here's how you know that, because in this interview on 60 Minutes, here she is with, I know you are, but what am I? Yeah. Nanny, nanny, boo, boo, Republican politics. Play the clip.
The most toxic political culture, and it's not helping the American people.
But you contributed to that. You were out there pounding, insulting people.
Leslie, you've contributed to it as well with your own program. Yes, you're accusatory, just like you did just then.
I know you're accusing me, but I'm smiling.
You're accusing me.
I am accusing you.
But we don't have to accuse one another.
I want you to respond to what you have done in terms of insulting people, yelling at people, and then saying...
I'd like for you to respond for that.
Okay. There she is. There she is. There she is. This is number one, exactly what Republicans do, particularly MAGA Republicans. She was asked a question for which she had to provide accountability. And instead of providing accountability for the party of individual responsibility and the party of accountability, she immediately placed nanny, nanny, boo, boo, I know you are, but what am I? With Leslie Stahl, as though Leslie Stahl has run around talking about Jewish space lasers and followed Parkland shooting survivors, kids that survived a school shooting and bullied and harassed them. This is just such a false equivalency. But this has been able to live and have oxygen as a defense mechanism because the media reports it just the way Marjorie does it. You can look any night on CNN and you have a false equivalency on full display. You have somebody who is talking about the United States of America based in facts and the rule of law, juxtaposed with some fluffer like Scott Jennings, who will sit there and lie and lie and lie with impunity. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, when she gets outside of that world, she thinks that she and Leslie Stahl are on the same playing field as far as having done something wrong or provoking some sort of mistruth. It's not even comparable, but this is the only way they know how to respond. So to think that this woman is going to be able to learn about some leaked FBI memo, which, by the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene, even though you're anti-LGBTQ plus, hard up for capitalism, you've made $28 million while you were in Congress. Despite all of that, the thing is, once you leave one marginalized group, you expose all of them. And that means you, Marjorie, because the only thing that memo really means is you have to be a Trump loyalist. You have to believe our propaganda. Otherwise, you're a terrorist. And she won't ever fucking talk about that because that would require her talking about human rights. And she won't have a political career with all of the MAGA rubes if she stands up for marginalized people, which, by the way, this is a woman who talks ad nauseum about her religious faith. Yet you never, ever, ever hear her or see her stand up for a marginalized community, ever. Listener, every single morning I have to navigate the news with pumps. We don't know what's true, what's not true, what's hyperbolic, what's gossip. Thankfully, we both use Ground News, the Vantage Plan. They're basically the Spotify of news, telling you who owns each outlet, where it leans politically, and whether you're reading original reporting or recycled messaging. Here's a prime example. A left-leaning publication has the following headline: Trump spews eternal grievance as Kennedy Center honors host. My Vantage Plan tells me this article has a very high factuality. So clearly, I'm going to click on that. A right-leaning publication has the following headline: First Lady Melania stuns on the red carpet at the Kennedy Center honors. And it says very low factuality, which is also very hilarious. So listener, join us by going to groundnews.com/IHIP to get 40% off the Ground News Vantage Plan that we use every single day. They're subscriber funded. And our favorite part is that they are female founded. By subscribing, you're not only getting a tool we all need today, you're also supporting our work. That's ground, GROUND news.com/IHIP. We have linked this right below in the show notes.
Nor do you see her standing up for poor people, voting for poor people's benefits and social safety nets, increasing the minimum wage. She doesn't vote for any of that. She's a straight down the line Trumper in her economic plan. She demonizes poor people. She doesn't want social safety nets. She's racist as the day is long. And this whole thing that I've seen the last 10 years, and I know it's been here always, but it used to be more artfully done. Straight up bullying people instead of answering a question, bullying the person that's asking the question. And I know that's been around forever. It's just was done better previously. But you have somebody whose job is to ask questions, and then the person answering goes on attack. And I can promise you there are people in this country that saw that and were like, Marjorie Taylor Greene's a badass, because they too believe that accountability should not apply to them. And I think it's so dangerous that she's in the position she's in, and it's only getting better for her politically.
Yeah. And you bring up a really good point. And I would add to that we need to hold people accountable to the extent that when they're asked about being accountable and they offer some sort of diversionary tactic, these journalists, which I know there's a lot of good journalists out there still, and it's a very important time to be a journalist and a very dangerous time to be a journalist and a very precarious time to be a journalist. But she does not get to be let off the hook. She has to, if she wants to rebrand herself, she has to atone for all the crazy shit that she incubated. She was inside the Death Star and believed it, every ounce of it, QAnon, the whole nine. And if she wants to have any semblance of respectability, you should liken this as the following. Those of you that have had drug addicts or alcoholics in your life, when they get home from rehab, there is an atoning, like, I'm so sorry, I was, under the influence, and I, drank and I'm so sorry I did all of these things. There's none of that with her. And the whole MAGA movement to me is kind of like an addiction, a cult. These people get uber addicted to it. They leave a lot of debris. They leave a lot of collateral damage, and they shun accountability. And her whole thing, she just proved it right there. And also, you can go to her Twitter feed. She still wanted to like arrest Fauci and all this crazy shit.
Crazy shit.
And a part of me is like, I don't know what the right answer is. And I mean this genuinely. Should she be on 60 Minutes? And I'd say yes, but she needs to walk out of there with having flop sweated so bad. Somebody needs to really hold her to account and ask her every single one of those things. And, like if I'm Leslie Stahl there, I'm going to say, we'll talk about me when you interview me, if you start a podcast. But right now I'm talking about you, sis. Answer the question. Why did you bully David Hogg? I want to know how you feel about that right now. Do you still stand by bullying a kid whose friends were murdered at school, and you were a shitty, disparaging troll to his face, and it is on video, and you want to get up here and lecture us about how Donald Trump is a dangerous asshole when you did that shit? I mean, that's what she needs to be asked. And I just think that if you're going to let somebody like that in your space, you have to really hold them to account with specifics. And that's the error of corporate news. It's a question, and then they're able to filibuster it a little bit, maybe a little bit of a pushback, and then everybody just rolls on. And in that, we've normalized this lack of accountability. And it's just, it's some days it's really hard for us to report on the news. Some days it's more fun because there's all this juice that dropped. But lately, like the Supreme Court's moves and this national security memo with the American interests aligning with Russia's, and then this fucking dipshit Marjorie Taylor Greene trying to act like she's found Jesus. I mean, it's just gag. I mean, some days I'm just more cynical than others, listener, and I know you guys are too. But like, I don't know, this last round of news has really kind of been heavier for me.
Same, because it's depressing. And I think what I have done, and I'm very guilty of this, is pinning my hopes on the Supreme Court, which I need to completely stop doing that. And I really was kind of prepared to do that. But just the way in law school, I was taught about the Supreme Court, and it's like, nobody's coming to save us. The Supreme Court justices are willing to go against every precedent they have set since they have been in court to give Donald Trump more power. They are all in on an authoritarian. We have to understand that. And so I feel more defeated about that. And then I see, people being murdered on boats that were just fishing with no evidence. And I don't see the national backlash that this deserves. I don't see people saying, why the fuck is the president of the United States sending two complete fucking morons in Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to negotiate a peace plan with Russia? And oh, by the way, Putin shoved it up your ass and humiliated you again. Why are we not outraged over that? And I guess it's the flood the zone. There's so many things to be outraged. But my defeat recently probably ties to the Supreme Court more than I wish it did.
All right. That's all we have for this episode. Please buy our book, Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches. It's a great stocking stuffer. Subscribe to our channel, and we'll be back later with more news.